Good evening and welcome to our April 21st Board of Education meeting. I need a motion and a second to adjourn executive and committee.
Motion.
All those in favor? Aye. If now you'll please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, so let's go right into some of the best part. We're going to start with our recognitions, and we'd like to bring up the Hello Dolly production and leadership team. Woo!
Hello. Does that work? Hi, everybody. Thanks for everybody for coming. We so appreciate all of you. I would like to commend the incredible work of the recent production of Hello Dolly and to reflect on how far our performing arts program has grown. I still remember early productions that first took place in our Performing Arts Center. From those beginnings to where we are today, the growth in scale, confidence, and quality of our performers is remarkable. The students, let's all raise our hand, the students in the production. So a lot of us on the board and myself had the luxury of watching this performance. The students were engaging from the very first moment. It was evident that the entire audience was not only entertained, but genuinely impressed and in awe of all your talent. The countless hours of rehearsal were apparent, as was the collaboration amongst the cast. The chemistry on stage was authentic and truly joyful. I found myself laughing, moved to tears, applauding louder, standing when nobody else stood. But that's okay. Then I expected everyone around me experienced the same thing. The success of the production was made possible with the seamless collaboration of music, dance, acting, all working together beautifully. The dedication and support of all of our directors. Let's raise our hand, all of our great directors. So our choreographer, Amber McCarthy. Our vocal director, Dr. Thomas. Our orchestra director, Mr. Barnett. And our wonderful producer, Mr. Fix. So many of you probably have never put on a play before in our audience, and I don't think you understand what goes in and the hours and what you give up and the time that you put in for these students. So I know the hours, the pride that you took in the work was apparent. The genuine love for the performing arts on the stage was apparent as well. So thank you to the students, directors, musicians, set construction, anybody here at the set construction too. That was unbelievably beautiful as well. And I know Mr. Hutman and Mr. Gall helped out with that as well. The producers, the choreography, all supported this production. Thank you. You created something truly special and provided our students with the opportunity to reach their full potential, and that's our mission of the district. And also, as a side note, I grew up listening to that album, and my mother played it over and over and over again, and she came with me. So she was brought to that tier. She saw like one of the original performances way back in New York City. So she said this was fabulous. So that's the true testament, all the work that you've done. So keep up the work. I know who's graduating. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can't hold you back. I'm sure that you'll go on to perform in other places and always remember where it started. And thanks to all of you. It was wonderful, wonderful. Keep up the great work. Thanks. So if you want to come around and shake the hands of the board, that would be great. All of you?
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. Good luck. Appreciate it. Great. Appreciate it. So good. So good.
Yeah, I know. You just want to keep doing it. One more show. Yeah, I got to do a summer production. Thank you so much.
Maybe past the reunion one day.
Great job.
Best laugh I've ever heard in my life. Great job. So good. Great job. Great work. That was so fun. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Oh my God. You were so kind. You were, yes. Of course. Great job. Awesome job.
All right. Thank you. I just want to clarify what an album is, if anybody doesn't know. That was a fun time when you could bring out your albums. So thanks for allowing a lot of us to reminisce about that wonderful play. Now we have some other great students that we'd like to honor. We have Marina, Mrs. Schmidt, Ada Wilson. I don't know if Ada's here. Maybe not. Okay. All right, so I would like to commend our high school student council for earning the recognition through the National Council of Excellence. This program celebrates student councils that demonstrate consistent, meaningful leadership throughout the year while making a positive impact on their schools and community. There's 4 tenets that they worked on to ensure that they got the award: leadership, service, engagement, and student voice. And our student council has exemplified each one of these values with excellence. I would like to extend a special recognition to Mrs. Schmidt, whose guidance, dedication, and belief in student leadership has been instrumental in this success. So thank you. Also, yep. I think I want to thank all of the student council. I would like to highlight 2 students, Marina and Ada. Is Ada up there? No, okay. And Marta, right, who took on this important work of applying for the award. I know it was a lot of effort. There was a lot of attention to detail and pride in the council's accomplishments to reflect the deep commitment with their peers and school community. So to all the members of student council, great job. You set a high standard and made the school and district really proud. So congratulations to each one of you on this amazing award.
Great job. Congratulations again. All did everything. Look at you guys.
You guys rock. You're like everything. I love it.
So good. Thank you so much. We're so proud of you guys. You guys are amazing. You're our rock stars.
Again, nice to see you again.
Great job. Multifaceted. I love it. Student council leaders.
All right, so we're giving out a lot of awards tonight. I would like Miss Christine Griffin to please come to the podium. Yay. So Christine is the award winner for the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Award for Teaching Excellence. If anybody knows Miss Griffin, she exemplifies the best of our profession. As an English teacher and long-serving department chair at Red Hook, she has distinguished herself as a courageous instructional leader who believes deeply in the potential of every single student. Her leadership has not only elevated classroom practices, but actually transformed systems within our high school to ensure equity, access, and excellence for all students. Ms. Griffin is perhaps best known for leading her implementation of IB for All model, a bold initiative that ensures every single student engages in rigorous IB coursework. This work required vision, persistence, and willingness to challenge a long-standing structure. And Christine led it with integrity and clarity of purpose. And also by expanding access to advanced instruction, she also secured dual enrollment opportunities at SUNY Dutchess. She's opened doors for students academically, intellectually, and also financially. Beyond these accomplishments, Christine Griffin's impact is deeply personal. She is known for her unwavering commitment to students. Every day someone's in her class eating. Through teaching night school, individual support, and a constant presence as a mentor and an advocate for all of our students. She inspires a genuine love for reading, writing, and storytelling. And one of the best things is she also inspires students to want to be an English teacher. That is the true testament of what you do. It is with great pride that we recognize Christine Griffin for receiving the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Award for teaching excellent and her extraordinary impact on our school community. We so appreciate you. Thank you. I think some of those students are here for you tonight too.
So well.
Thank you.
Say something.
You're supposed to be doing public speaking. There you go.
Thank you. The only thing I would say is that I appreciate from the bottom of my heart the opportunity to be an IT teacher and get the work I love doing every day. Feels like I do. I love it. I love it. I come to get a lot of opportunity. I was trained and I could the rest of my day. I appreciate that opportunity. Different now than I was when first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All good stuff. All right, so that's going to bring us on. We're done with recognitions to our Student Board of Ed leaders here.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay. So it's kind of a short board report because we just had spring break recently as well. But this part of the year is pretty stressful for students because we have IB and AP exams coming up. But to start, we just had NYSSMA All-State, which is a program that showcases student musicians from around New York where students perform a solo in front of a judge. And a very talented group participated this year and it went really well for them, so that was great to hear. Spring sports have just started and many of the teams are doing well at the start of the season. Senior nights are being planned. So just really great to see the games coming and go to some home games and everything like that. And for the senior calendar, we just got the rest of the year calendar for our senior year. So we're really looking forward to those events coming up after exams because we want to get through those first. But really looking forward to the second part of the year here.
So for some student council news, NYSCLSA, which is the state leadership organization, is starting back up. We just had our first meeting this past weekend where we began planning the 2026 Revolutionized Leadership Conference and where I was also elected president of the board, which is very exciting. Thank you. Student Council has also begun planning for a local District 4 Hudson Valley Leadership Conference, which will be a scaled-down version of the state conference at Somers on June 1st. For Earth Day, Student Council has planned a style swap where students have been bringing in clothes for clothing and media swap tomorrow and Thursday as an alternative to fast fashion. Finally, we've been planning the Spring Pep Rally, where we will recognize school sports and have a brand new event where clubs will receive awards and recognitions for their events, advertising, and more. And on behalf of Student Council, I just also like to say thank you for the recognition. It's been truly an honor for us to work with administration, staff, and all the students in our school, and we appreciate the support and recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was everything. So thank you again for having us.
Thanks, Marina and Maddie. We appreciate it. So that brings us to our presentations on the lights. We have Megan Baker here from Musco.
We also have Jim Salinka from Tetra Tech, our architect. So if you just give us a minute to set up.
In the meantime, the college searches are going well. Any decisions?
Personally, I have not made a decision yet.
Okay, that's
Um,
okay.
But I think we do have a decision day for those who are going to college
Mhm.
on May 1st. So we're going to be doing, I think, some special stuff that day to kind of showcase where everybody's going. So we're looking forward to that. And these past couple weeks, we've seen a lot of people starting to commit. So yeah.
That's right.
Our
Our
age, how to
agent,
use Instagram.
26.
I'll send it to you.
I know that's bad. I just.
So on decision day, are you going
much.
to like people wear their shirts where they're going to go to school?
Yeah, so I think everyone will wear their gear, and I think we're gonna do like a poster thing
Oh,
that'll kind
nice.
of get showcased. I'm not exactly sure the details about it, but I think
Okay.
we're gonna be decorating something. So really excited for that.
Fine.
Great. We bought enough time to go over to the presentation. then?
So Ina and Jim are going to talk about the lights that were proposed for our athletic field and a little bit about all of their components and compliance with dark sky, lighting, glare and pollution, et cetera. That'd be great. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ina Baker. I work with Musco Sports Lighting, which is the company that will be providing the lights here at Red Hook. It's a family-owned company out of Oskaloosa, Iowa. It's been around this is our 50th year this year. It is still family-owned. The person who founded it 50 years ago still works in engineering right in our Oskaloosa office. One thing that we strive to do is we are putting light control over everything. It is our job, it is our mission to make sure that we are protecting the night skies, neighbors, and just making sure that we're getting that light onto what the intended surface is and not in the surrounding areas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dark Skies, but basically it is an organization that protects the night sky. Our fixture is dark sky compliant. We meet those certifications. Yeah, but it's my mission to make sure that the lights that go up at your school are in the community's best interest and we are providing the best fixture that we possibly can.
You want to, but I think just what was proposed for our project would be helpful. And then you let me know when you're ready for the lights. I can turn them off.
So the sports field that was proposed was the football field. We are going to be lighting for football, lacrosse, field hockey, and then track events as well. So there'll be kind of different options that the school can do in the terms of lighting track events, walking track for the community, as well as the lights for the actual sporting events. Yeah, anything else? Pole heights, okay. Yep, so these poles, the two poles that are on the side of the neighbors, those are gonna be 70 feet tall. The ones on the opposite side are going to be 80 feet tall. Now, pole height, I'll go into example when I show the demonstration, but pole height is important for that light control. So typically with town variances, you'll see like 30-foot poles or 20-foot poles. Now, when it comes to actual sports lighting, we have to get that angle to actually make sure we're able to control that light and making sure that it's on those intended surfaces. So for example, this is a 70-foot pole to scale model. This represents around 100 feet off of that surface. So typically But typically for using our competitors and other sports lighting fixtures, they will just have the light, blast it, try to get those light levels there with no control. You want to shut the lights off? So this kind of just shows that light is blasting everywhere. There's no control. It's if your houses, neighbors, it's all going to be lit up. You're going to see that where some competitors and other sports lighting manufacturers will say, we're going to put a visor on. This will control the light. This will keep the light onto that intended surface. So here's that example of some visors that other people will add to their, go. But yeah, it didn't really do much. They said they have a visor. There is a visor on it, but it's not really controlling any of that light. So this is what we have engineered. This is the exact fixture that will be on your sports field. So you can kind of see the cutoff is much greater. I mean, I can move it too. You're not getting blasted over here anymore. The fixture is used to directionally control that light and make sure it is staying on those intended surfaces, as well as protecting it from the sides, as well as the back. So the difference between spill and glare, that's typically one thing we talk about a lot. Spill is that light that was over there, not on the actual playing surface. So that is technically what spill is defined as. Now, glare is the measurement of glare is the experience of light that you're seeing. So technically right now, like we're not experiencing any glare. And that's because that actual diode, the light source is being completely covered. So any spill is anything that's off of the intended surface, where glare is anything you're experiencing by seeing that actual light source. So another reason with pole heights is, say your house is off of the backside and you're seeing, oh, we're gonna have 80-foot poles. Yep, the point of those 80-foot poles is so that we can get the angle needed to make sure that you guys will not be visibly seeing those diodes, so you won't be experiencing the glare that is coming from those light sources, if that makes sense.
Analogy I like is kind of like a stage lighting. When they flood the stage with light, the lights are close because it provides a broad light. But when you do, a focused beam, I forget what that's, a spotlight, that's further away because you can focus it better and you don't have to spread it. And that's kind of similar to what they're doing. They're getting the light higher so it can be focused better with and whatnot.
Ina, could you explain to the board the difference between what light is needed for a sporting event versus what light is needed for the walking track?
Yep. So it's all measured in a foot candle. So typically the IES, which is a engineering organization that sets the standards across the country for what light levels need to be met for sporting events. IES says that the standard for a football game, soccer game, lacrosse game is 50-foot candles. So for a regular sporting event, when these lights are at maximum, that is the light level that will be on the field. Now, for community walking track, we have made it so that there is a circuit that you can shut off all the lights and just have the walking tracks on. And I think the average for that is 6-foot candles. So it's a significantly lower light level strictly for community use. So when they say that the lights are going to be on for the community use of the walking track, it's not at that high beam maximum, which you're seeing here. It's going to be at a lower, dimmer level that is suitable for walking.
Can you talk to, because I thought it was so interesting when I heard this at the other meeting, the lumens, how your light lumens is less than like headlight. You gave some analogy about like
Yep.
what the lumens are. Maybe you could explain what lumens are,
Yep.
how they're measured, how the lights that we're proposing measure up to like lumens that we all interact with every day.
Yep. So that's two different things. So lumens and candela. So with the car, so glare, when I say you experience glare, that measurement is candela. So you are experiencing glare measured in a candela. So when you're staring at a high beam headlight, that's around 10,000 candela, where the measurements that we have that we will exceed on these playing fields, I don't know if they have the scans, but it shows the highest reading of candela is around 400 on those houses. So just imagine when you're driving down the road, you're experiencing anything from 8 to 10 to 15,000 candela, depending on if it's an LED high beam, an HID high beam, where the candela readings on the field are significantly lower than that. And that's basically like, this would be 10,000 candela, where this comes down. I don't know the exact reading of candela for this, but you can just see that you can't see that light source. The candela is much lower. That's for the fixture that is aimed at. So if the fixture that is, so say like the light pole, the glare source that you can see that is producing the candela on the road where you're taking that measurement, that is what that reading is.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a reminder that right now it's just questions for the board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Did I answer your question on Kate?
Yeah, you answered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting because I didn't like, and I know I get blinded by headlights. So
Well, the difference between the glare and the, yeah, this,
4,000.
And then
Just to affirm like that is the quality of light.
Yeah.
400.
400.
Not 4,000. Even better.
And then when you were kind of talking about the lumens, lumens are typically the same when it comes to HID and LED, but the big difference is the Kelvin temperature. So this Kelvin temperature is much higher versus what we have is a 5,700 Kelvin.
And
go ahead.
So I know there's been questions as to time frame which we might have the lights on, lighting for track at night versus sporting events. Are you, or could you and your team put together some procedures that we share that we could look at, so we could, that I guess the community could understand, what our plans are for, when we would run the lights, when we would not run them.
That's a great idea. There's a lot of misinformation that's been out, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, I've seen a number of flyers that have had statements that some, had some inaccuracies in there. And I think in part it's just, we haven't communicated, exactly what our procedures are.
So I think from the very beginning, because it's not a turf field, there's going to be very limited use on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin. She'll talk about the amount of games that can be played on it, and kind of our thought process about when we would leave the track lighting on as well.
Right. So because it's a grass field, we're limited in how we can use it, what sports we can use it for. So as a grass field, it's used for football and for boys varsity lacrosse, and then obviously the track around for track and field events. So because of that, I believe that the varsity football season is 8, maybe 9 games. Half of those are home games. So we're looking about 4 to 5 football games, maybe a track event in the spring at night. But as Mr. Casada will tell you, there are track and field events that can only be played in the daylight. So the feasibility of doing night events for that is slim to none. And lacrosse is interesting because the ball is so small, it has to be completely pitch dark in order to have a nighttime lacrosse game. So that means starting a lacrosse game this time of year around 8 o'clock at night. So that would not be something that is feasible to have as evening games. So we had talked about maybe a maximum of 10 athletic events at night for the entire school year. The majority of the time the lights would be used, well, our promise to the community was that we would have them on for walking the track. So we would be looking at an academic calendar, September to June, but even in June, it's lighter out late enough that we don't necessarily need to put the lights on. We do have a timer for the lights so that we can set an end time. And then in the winter, when we have a winter like we did this year, it is not feasible for us to plow the track. So there could be months where it's just not usable. And in those situations, the lights would not be on.
There are some of us who actually still run on it.
Okay, run.
Now you're
There's
just
some
throwing
of us who just look. Other questions?
Anyone?
Happening at other events happening on the field that we would need the lights for? It's just
So
the
it's-
school district.
Yeah, I mean,
sports
there
events.
may be, so in the past, we've given like Saturday during the day to Pop Warner. But we don't use that as a practice field because of our limited use. So there may be a scenario if we have met the heat index in August and the kids can't play in the sunshine because it's too hot. Maybe they'd have a practice at night under the lights, but that would not be the norm.
Any other questions?
No.
No?
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. I know.
To scale.
How much do people get for that visor that doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the. No, the cover made a big difference. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. All right, so that brings us to our first recognition of visitors. If you would like to speak, we ask that you come up to the podium, talk into the microphone. Please state your name. We also ask that you keep your remarks to 3 minutes or less. And just a reminder, this is not an interactive exercise. This is a listening exercise for the board, and we will get back to you, or get the appropriate people to you at some point after this meeting. Does anyone like to speak? This one right here.
My name is Colleen Bloxham. I am one of the residents that literally backs onto the field. So I have two of the concerns with the lighting. That one of the lights that's between the new jump, what do they call it, jump field, the jump pit, and my fence, literally is practically in my backyard. I understand the directional lighting, and I understand how that helps, but the glow that multiple heads, I understand there's going to be 55 lights. Is that correct? The last I heard from the Musco stuff. Anyway, my understanding was there was going to be 55 heads. There's going to be 7 poles, 5 on the track, 4 on the football field, 3 on the, anyway, the numbers don't matter.
It's 4 poles on the main field.
Right.
I think the light that you're referring to by the long jump,
Yeah,
that's only needed if there was a nighttime event.
right.
That's not something that would be turned on for general
Is that
walk.
something that's on when the track is on?
It is not.
My other concern is, I know they've said because we have a limited use field, we can only have so many football games, but my question is, how many track events does that give us? Does that then up that? And then my other biggest concern is parameters on things like noise ordinances. We have noise ordinances in our village for a reason. They end at 9 o'clock, even for things like our bands that play, weddings that come. I mean, I'm a chef and a caterer, and I've been shut down for noise ordinances for bands playing in weddings and barns and all kinds of things. And my question is, because we have a residential area, I shouldn't say my question, sorry. My comment is that because we have a residential area that backs directly onto the field, we are directly affected by all of those noise ordinances that my understanding is the school doesn't have to meet. And my question is why? Why do we allow a game that creates that much noise and bells and whistles, and you have start guns and all of the things for track meets, that kind of noise? It's really loud. And I can literally hear the loudspeaker from the school at my house every day. I hear it all day long, all winter long, every time you guys are in school. I even heard my own kid's name when he got in trouble. So I get that these things go on, But what I don't understand is that there's no parameters as to how these fields will be used and how they will directly affect, especially my property and all of us on that back row. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And I would also question whether, the practice and all of that stuff, things like the music that these kids play is incredibly loud, often incredibly rude. And I think some of the parameters really need to be considered when we look at this field being active often, along with the lighting, spill, glare, all of those things that will then literally light my entire yard. I mean, I already get lit from the security lights on the other side of the field.
Pauline, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's,
That's fine.
yeah, sorry, those
Three
three.
concerns. That's good.
All right,
That
thank you.
works. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to come up? No.
Hello, my name is Charlie Lang. I'm also a resident on Maysland Road behind the school. I'm a former village trustee, former deputy chair of the town planning board. I liked both my kids went through Red Hook schools, did very well with the IB program, did the full IB diploma. You guys did too, and were varsity athletes. And I think it's fantastic that the schools, the middle and high schools, are in the village. It's great to have those schools in the village. But they need to recognize that that's a community setting and there's village character to be thought about. 80-foot poles, 70-foot poles, 80-foot poles are more than twice as tall as any building in the village, taller than any of the trees around them. It's out of character. I don't believe you couldn't achieve the same or adequate lighting with shorter, fewer poles. And that would be more in keeping with the character of the village. I think the demonstration missed the opportunity of having a little figurine of a person to scale next to that massive light pole. And I just think it's out of scale. I don't understand. The board was in front of, the school was in front of the village planning board for a special permit, but then backed off from that, process that is intended to go through seeker to address impacts and community character. So I don't understand why that process didn't go through. And there was a county outreach as part of that too. I don't know what happened to that. My other concern is that it sounds from the board that this is a huge investment for a remarkably small number of football games because of the nature of the field, because it's a grass field. Sounds like the board is still looking to long-term go to turf, which the village and the school district and the members, the residents have already shot down 3 times. So I hope that's not the case. Anyway, maybe that's just paranoia on my part. I would seriously ask the board to consider ways to make this more in keeping with the character of the village and not to, impinge upon the neighboring residences and communities. And that's my time.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Come on up.
Evening.
Good evening.
I'm Ross Williams and I live on London Avenue. And while I don't have the same immediate effect that the previous 2 speakers have talked about, I do have a concern about the lack of involvement and community participation in setting some guidelines for the use of the fields. And I was encouraged to hear that the board is thinking of looking at a plan and I think you should do that. I believe that you should do that in conjunction with a cross-section of the community that includes residents, and that there should be some upper limits on the usage of the fields. I think that's in keeping with the need to protect from overuse of the fields. I'm encouraged by your attention to the lighting. The technical standards seem excellent. It's not the lighting so much that is my concern, but rather the usage patterns that will accrue and the impacts that that will have in terms of noise, traffic, and just the general climate that is created in what is a school that's in a neighborhood. It's in a residential neighborhood. And I think there is some balance of both school interests and neighborhood interests that needs to be recognized, appreciated, and embraced. And in fact, I think it would be an example for our children to see the community working together in that manner. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Name is Barry Lipschutz, and I live at 80 West Market Street. Across the street from that big mansion that sits across the street from the school. And in my kitchen, I have a direct view right through the mansion would be on my right where I'm sitting. Trees are down a little bit back further. I'm wondering if there's reflection or deflection of the light. When it shows here, when it's had the table up here, so I would be neighbor has put up a pool house. And he put up a black metal roof on it. And for at least 2 hours a day in the middle of the afternoon, the sun hits that black roof and it comes right in my windows and I have to shut my drapes. Now, the sun also normally hits that. So now I'm thinking, do I have to think what time of day it is? Because I have to pull my drapes in the back of the house. And do I have to pull the stuff on the front of the house now? So maybe I don't know what the deflection would be from that kind of light. Way the light was shining here, there was no light coming behind it. But there's going to be lights on that side if the field goes this way, and that's the way it is in front of my house. It goes east and west. So that's 22.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it. And would anyone else like to come up and speak? Hi.
My name is Paul Gluck. I'd just like to restore and endorse the comments made by prior speaker, community input, and thank you. Comment about getting the community together with some sort of program in order to have a agreed upon set of parameters or protocols for the use of the field. I am a great supporter of the district. I support the athletic program. I have two daughters who participated in their high school in the athletic program. I think it's fantastic for people, and I think it is. I can really see the added benefit for trying to pull an additional program into nighttime for the community. But make no mistake, these lights are big, and the stadium lighting and the associated impact on the community is large. It's a residential community, always associated with night games until 10 p.m. or later, highly disruptive, particularly to families with young children. And although the lights are well designed, they are not without impact. Sky glow, and there is glare. I think you can imagine, look at the center page of some of the materials that the lighting vendor put out. You'd see big lights and see big lights in the sky, good part of Red Hook. I can appreciate the district's receptive and being sensitive to the concerns of its neighbors. I know you've said you're committed to minimizing the potential impacts. But as I understand the plan here, it is to send this project to the state, to a bureaucracy that itself says it has no interest in local usage. It has no interest in local parameters and no input into how the lights will be used. That is something really that should be locally and here. If you look at what other districts have done, they've done, as was suggested here, they've formed committees, they've had process by which the community gets together and with the district and with other stakeholders and incorporates a use plan. And we all know that it's all very nice to be relying on other people's goodwills and, you know, good intentions, but paraphrase, you know, good rules make good neighbors. We could set that out in a formal process, in a writing. That I think would be beneficial.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I know we don't know, this is a listening exercise, but there's a question that's come up a couple times. And so I thought it may be appropriate to, if there's an answer that one of the administration could provide, Dr. Warden or Aaron. We originally were going to go to the planning board, and now we're going through to the state. Can you give us any background as to why that change was made?
Yeah, I think right from the beginning, we had every intention to go and work with the village board and go through their ordinance and go through their planning process. The attorneys from both the village board and our attorney had many conversations, and it was just brought to our attention through the village that we should seek approval in our normal process with SED.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone else want, go ahead.
I think him in the back was first, but.
Hello, good to see some of you. My name is Justin Ridgely. I own the home at 3 Linden, which is being renovated right now. Hope to move in soon with my 3 children, all of which will go to Red Hook schools. I first of all really appreciate the demonstration, all the information and your desire to make the lights as unobtrusive as possible. The demonstration was very helpful in showing that. I think my thoughts here are more about the question that was just brought up about showed up to the planning board to hopefully hear a public discussion on this a few weeks back, only to find that the permit application was pulled and that the district would go straight to the state. This felt disappointing. It felt like a missed opportunity to continue the process that had started by working with the community. And it felt like, well, it kind of undermined trust when I'm basically with no policy in place about how these lights will be used. It doesn't convince me that they'll be used responsibly in the years to come when community input was essentially abandoned, when it seemed maybe there was a little resistance coming. I had to submit a FOIL request to find out there were 30 letters submitted before that meeting, some for, some against. And it's commentary that we're hearing somewhat tonight, what would have enjoyed hearing is in what I thought would be the normal venue of the Red Hook Village Planning Board. So I think I'm just, wondering why that decision was decided by 2 attorneys working between the district and the village and not members of the community or members of the board or members of the district themselves. And it just, again, I'm very supportive of the concept. I think, and I appreciate again, all you've done to make this proposal and the designs um, less impactful. But I'd like to see this put back in the hands of the, I think, the jurisdiction of the village, or at least to work with the community to get some fair use standards, or how that would even be done, every year or something like that. So that, 6 to 10 to 12 sporting events, doesn't turn into something more. And after they're up, that's a lot harder to do, I think. And so, again, appreciate the time here and all the feedback, and just wanted to kind of voice those concerns about the process seemingly kind of going over our heads at the village level straight to the state, which again, doesn't care about our local community whatsoever.
All right, thank you. Was there a gentleman? There you go.
My name is John Radman. I live on 6 Maisland, and these are my neighbors here. Some of them I know and I don't know. And my kids have gone to the school. They've graduated. 2 are married. One is in London, and she's still trying to get a degree on something or other, whatever. But the thing is, this school system has always taken care of my kids. They were in the school productions. They were on the sports teams, track, soccer. They're also on swimming. You guys don't have a pool yet, but you should look into that eventually. Anyway, that's up for the agenda. Now, I just want to clarify something. Lumens is in Candela. Candela is when you're looking at the headlights of a car, that's the bright light that you see when you're staring at it. It's a point of light. And lumens is per square feet. That's the light that hits the surface. So like this is lumens right here. It's not a bright light, and this is candela when it's looking at it and it's shining on it. So the idea is that lumens are a weaker form of light because it's sort of like a reflection off the surface. White reflects a lot, black doesn't, etc. And the thing is, with that little model there, it's supposed to be scale of 70 feet. Well, this wall right here, and everything, is only about 30 feet. So if you put 2 of these walls, one on top of the other, and add another 20 feet, that's going to be 8 feet. So where I am is like, maybe like not more than 500 feet away from the track and field. And to put an 80-foot structure up there, I'm going to see it somehow. Even if you have like a tilt that goes down like this, and from what you said there, 2 of the lights will be facing from the street over to our side, and then there'll be lights all around the track and stuff like that. So even with the angle, you're probably going to see some of the lumens and not just reflected light. The other thing is, if you have 80 feet, there's an inverse square law for light. Familiar with that? You know how that works? Like if I'm here.
She doesn't.
Sorry, I'm a math teacher. Anyway, if I'm a point of light and you're 100 feet away, then this particular object is going to be a certain kind of light. If I move 50 feet in, get twice as much. So like if you have an 80-foot pole that's going to have light, if you bring it down to 60 feet, you have to use as many candela like the you'll get the same amount of lumen, but you don't have the same intensity of light. But anyway, so that's
Thank you, Mr. Rodman. I'm sorry to cut you off. That's 3 minutes. We appreciate it.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And would anyone else like to speak? Oh, there you go. Hi, Dan.
Dan Hubble, graduate, 1994. I have 2 daughters that graduate in 2024 and 2025, and another that will be graduating in 2039. We live at 85 West Market Street. My backyard, literally, you can see the bleachers. Middle of COVID, when you did the block parties because you couldn't do dances. We heard it when the pack was being built. I was in my office working away and hearing the trucks back up and the beeping all day. I see the security lights every night when I go to bed because my bedroom looks off at the back end. And I'm 100% in support of this project. They should be 80 feet. This is a great community resource. I'll tell you a quick story. When PAC the Performing Arts Center came before the community, I voted against it, I think the first couple of times, because I said, this thing's never going to be used. I can't think of a better use of $16 million. That Performing Arts Center is used incredibly. It is having two daughters go through the high school. That room has kids in it every minute of the day. And then when school ends, continues to have kids in it every minute until they have to go home for dinner. And it has just expanded what we can do as a community. We can host all county. We can do great plays that we recognize tonight. It expanded our ability as a community. Now, look, I've lived here since 1983. It was a football field when I moved here. I believe it was a football field 2 decades before then. When we bought our house at 85 West Market Street, we knew we were moving into next to a football field. I hear the football games. I hear the offensive music on Saturdays when I'm outside playing with my kid. But I will also say this, we use and other community members use that field so much. You see my idiot little 4-year-old riding down the street, I'm sure, with his red helmet on his bike. We go up and down those internal roadways between the high school and the middle school all the time. We're on the parking lot. When my daughter had dreams of becoming a track star, we went to the high school track at 6 o'clock every morning for about 2 months. And we saw a lot of people at the track. And in the evenings when we're there, we see lots of people still out on the field, immigrant community members who are playing soccer, teenagers, all sorts of things. This expands our ability as a community to provide more to our taxpayers. It's worth whatever, the $2 million, $4 million. If we're going to put taxpayer money into this, then let's get the most use that we can get out of it. Maybe I'll be inconvenienced by these lights, but I don't care. I had my 3-year-old, 2-year-old kid sleeping through block parties that went past 9 o'clock at night, and he slept through it. I'm not worried about the noise. This is about you as a board have the opportunity, I think, to expand what we do for our community. And I think that's a glorious and wonderful thing. And as far as why is this here and not in front of the planning board, I am an attorney. I do land use law. I don't know why this ever went to the village board. It never should have. New York law is clear that each municipal corporation has its own jurisdiction in terms of land use decisions that's done. The school is subject to Department of Education's overview of their projects, but this was voted for by the taxpayers. It was given a yes for that. The community does want this. I couldn't speak more in support of this project. I'm sure this makes me unpopular with my neighbors, but I truly believe that this is an opportunity for us to really do something great for our community.
All right,
Sorry,
thanks.
I'm
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else would like to speak? All right, thank you. Moving right along, now we're going to go into budget discussions with our budget presentation. Yahoo!
I don't know if this is the right time to say it, but also we have extended to any community member, and I know we've met with some, please, we can't answer your questions back and forth, but you could call Aaron or I at any time. You can come in, you can talk to us about your concerns. We are very open to meeting people. I just want to get that out there so that you don't feel like your questions will go unanswered. You could call us, email us, or even come by.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's a very exciting night for me. It's the night that the board will hopefully approve the budget for 2026-27. There is a resolution on the agenda after the presentation for that. There's also a resolution for the board to adopt the property tax report card and the school budget notice. That's actually the important part right there, is for the board to adopt that property tax report card, because we then report it to New York State. And after that, we're able to put all of our budget documents together and have them available for the public and for the budget hearing, which will be on May 7th. So the budget has not changed since we presented it last in March. You'll see the summary on the screen here. At the top part of the screen are our expenditures, and the bottom part is the revenues. The budget for next year is 67.3 million, which is a 3.66% increase, or 2.4 million. As I said, this is the same budget that we presented in March. So I'll just point out two of the significant changes in the expenditures. First of all, you'll notice that the equipment line increased by 11.4%. The reason for that is that we added the car kit for the Winter Circle program into equipment. The rest of that program is paid for through BOCES. And also we reallocated some money from contractual. We moved it into equipment so that we can purchase some furniture and shelving for the high school at the library, or the high school library. That's not new money. It was just a reallocation. I do know we talked earlier about the employee benefits and how the health insurance was increasing nearly 10%. However, all benefits overall are just increasing 3.2%. The other benefits other than health insurance include our pension costs and also payroll costs. At the bottom of the screen, you'll notice the revenues. I do have some slides regarding the tax levy increase, which I'll talk about. We are at the maximum amount allowed under the law, that 3.6% increase. The state aid that you see here is based on the governor's proposal. As you may know, the state has not yet passed their budget. If there are any changes to the state aid after the state passes their budget, it'll be minimal and could just provide a little extra money that would go into our revenues at that time. If we don't spend that money, it would fall to fund balance, but we're not expecting any big changes on that state level. So this slide shows the three-part component budget. We are required to show that for the public. Also attached on tonight's agenda under the resolution to adopt the budget is the three-part budget, the line-by-line detail. That information will actually become part of our budget book. We do show every account code broken down as either admin, program, or capital. And then this slide here just shows some of the factors that go into the tax cap calculation. As I stated, our tax cap increase for next year is 3.61%. That is the maximum amount that we're allowed to levy. In order for the budget to pass, we would need to have a 50% approval rating. If we went over the maximum amount, we would have to have a 60% approval rating. And the components of the tax cap calculation are actually listed here. The consumer price index change, that's really the inflationary factor. In 2025, the change in CPI was 2.63%, but New York State limits that in the tax cap calculation to 2%. So every school district in New York State is using 2% as that part of their calculation. Another factor that's included here is the tax base growth factor. That represents an actual physical change in the properties. Not simply an increase in assessments. That's different for every school district in New York State, but New York State does provide that information to every school district. For Red Hook, it's 1.02% for next year. And then overall, our tax cap increase can be looked at what's the increase for operations and what do we have in the increase for capital. So we show that at the bottom of the slide, 2.98% of that 3.61% is for operations and 0.63% is for the capital portion of the budget. This slide here, we also went over this at the last meeting too. This is the actual calculation for the tax cap calculation. The tax base growth factor and the allowable levy growth factor that I just talked about, as well as changes for the capital exclusion part of the calculation, and pilots, which are payments in lieu of taxes, are applied to the current year levy to determine the maximum allowable tax levy, which for next year would be the $42.7 million, which is listed at the bottom, which represents that 3.61% increase. So, I do know I went through that quite quickly, but we didn't make any changes since last time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
I just, go ahead. No, I just want to say thank you. You know, our district and budget are in good standing, especially during a time when so many of our neighboring districts are not. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to item number 2 under discussions. The Linden Avenue Middle School lockers. So I need a motion and a second on that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just wanted
Oh,
to,
sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to make a comment. So we have to have the secret for any capital project that we do. It stands for the State Educational Quality Review Act. So the state, we submit it to the state and they look at the environmental considerations for every project. This particular one, we'd like to use our capital outlay money to do some locker renovations at the middle school that have been there for several decades.
Those the ones that are in the classrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
They have been there a minute. All right. So that brings us to item number 3, approve the 2026-2027 budget. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Any discussion on that? All right. All those in favor? Aye. And then we need to approve the budget reports, and I need a motion and a second on that.
Second.
Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, Dr. Warden.
So I just wanted to highlight that we had our second visit for the community engagement team. We were at the high school and Tom Casada spoke about health and athletics. Anthony Curzio spoke about transportation and some of the obstacles to EV bus, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we talk about the resolution that the board has. Linda Steinberg, our wonderful business administrator, was there talking about the budget. Dr. Hayes was there talking also about the budget and the capital projects, and Mr. Roddy presented the programmings at the high school as well as we toured the building, and it was great because we were touring right at lunchtime. Some people made the comment about this is like a little city that just appears and then disappears and then reappears the next day. So we sent out a survey because we ran over time. So we're looking for the survey to come back. So once that's back, I'll be able to report out to the board, but I feel like it was successful. We also have our budget expo coming up. So I think most of you probably got an email or saw it on social media, but I'll also send these out for you. So again, we're going to continue with our budget expo, which is a way that the public taxpayers can see where the money goes that they're voting on every year. So we will have tables set up where you can interact with staff and also students about our clubs, about our programs. We also have, again, our new classes like the Winner Circle project where our students will be building a race car and marketing. We also will talk about our capital projects that night. So there will be an EV bus that you could ride also to oversee the bus garage and what's going on there. We'll talk about our renovations to our welding program that we're looking for in the fall. But it's basically going to be a high-level overview. We also are really lucky to have during that the Farm to School Showcase. So there'll be food. Unfortunately, the cow that we usually get, something's going on with the cow. The cow's getting an award. I mean, it's a very popular cow. But what you'll be able to do is sample foods that are one day going to be served in our cafeteria. So the students and the parents and the community members can sample some of our foods. And we're really looking to get to more farm to table in our schools. So this is a great way to showcase that. So I encourage people, the board, again, it'll be from May 7th here at Mill Road from 5:30 to 6:45. And then at 7, we will have the budget hearing. And also during the budget hearing, you'll be able to hear from the 4 candidates for the Board of Education. And Linda did mention this in her presentation, but I think one of the things that people don't understand is that every year we have to meet certain deadlines for our budget. And right now the governor is on their 5th emergency extender. The deadline was April 1st. There was an extender to April 22nd. We were advised to use previous numbers for aid runs, but this is also just adds to the impact around when you see other school districts really in this unknown. it's really a difficult thing. And the issues that appear to be are not appearing around education. They seem to be more about insurance, environmental laws, immigration, and housing. So I think it's important that the board and also our associations continue to advocate for changing to school funding, at the very least to meet their deadline, but overall just changes in how all our schools are funded. There was a study done by the Rockefeller Center that was really thoughtful, and it's really as nothing has changed since then. So just continue that advocacy around funding schools in an appropriate way and in a sustainable way in the future. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Summers.
Thank you, Dr. Warden. So I'm going to be reporting out of my office and also the areas that I supervise. So I'll start with my office. Been very busy partnering with our director of our mentor committee and our mentor coordinator. We have reviewed and updated our mentor ambassador documents, professional development opportunities, and really a self-reflective process to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our new teachers that are brand new to the field, and also teachers that have been in the field but are new to our district. I've attended conferences focused on literacy and AI in education, planned and supported professional development for the March 13th Superintendent's Conference Day, which I reported out on the last board meeting, reviewed student teaching placements, requests, and interviewed candidates for year-long internships for next year. I continue to meet with department chairs, coordinators, and liaisons to discuss goal setting, curriculum development, our Atlas mapping process and progress. We're almost completely done with all of our coursework and mapping those, but that is always a continuous process for updates to our work. Have collaborated with our Director of Technology to engage parent groups on district technology use and supported the development of a new committee for next year, the Instructional Technology Task Force. I am in the process of reviewing tenure teacher portfolios, leading the charge on the Budget Expo, working with teacher, department leaders, administration. Let's see, working on preparations for Summer Academy 2026, working on finalizing arts and education programming for next year. My office does track and monitor staff certification, the status, and making sure that they are compliant and timely renewed. I continue to do teacher observation, administrative observations, and I also attend a monthly meeting at Duchess BOCES. Now on to the athletic department. Mr. Casada has shared that he has signed, the students have signed. One student has signed with St. Thomas Aquinas. He will continue his academics and baseball career. And another student has signed with SUNY Oneonta, where he'll continue his academics and basketball career. He also extends a thank you to the Board of Education for the continued support of the athletics department. Mr. Gardner, who's our Director of Technology, is working on the Smart Schools bond to make sure we get reimbursement. Firewall is scheduled to be replaced in May. He says his team has supported computer-based testing, which has occurred this month at a New York State level. And he also has supported the preparation for the new sign up for health insurance. So he has ensured that all people that are involved in that did get email accounts. PPS, that's our director. Amanda Allison is our director of PPS. She continues to work on annual reviews, supporting professional development across all areas of special ed. We are focused on making sure that our special ed teachers have the skill and the training for multisensory reading. Amanda was awarded a $2,500 scholarship to become a certified instructor in youth mental health first aid. And so she will be able to lead professional development to train our staff in the coming year. Also, our unified basketball team is on the courts and had a game today. So that's a lot of fun. And she also supports Parents as Partners workshops. The next one will be April 27th at the Performing Arts Center, and it will feature a presentation by Westchester Institute for Human Development. On to the high school. The high school continues to interview for new teachers for next year. The master schedule is in the works. Student Services has been very busy with college planning evenings. Scholarship season is upon us for their seniors and to support students on their college search. The middle school did host a Shakespeare Performing Arts Midsummer Night's Dream presentation that's supported by Arts and Education. They're also doing ELA, New York State ELA assessments and math assessments. On to Mill Road. Mill Road completed kindergarten screening for both in-house and new students will be welcoming in the fall. And Mrs. Strothman and Dr. Boyd did meet individually with families to discuss their child's development, celebrate their strengths, and address any questions they have. They also administered the Fontes and Pinnell benchmark assessments and I'll get it to you. Okay. They did do kindergarten registration and pre-K is, I know we have 4 classes, but I get those numbers, something like that. But I'll send you that information, both kindergarten and pre-K. Wasn't in the report, sorry. One of the things with the Fontes Pinnell benchmark assessments, the results were truly remarkable. We've worked really hard. Our teachers and our administrative staff at Mill Road have really been focused on all aspects of a very structured literacy program, and they have seen tremendous growth in reading development since the beginning of the school year. So we're very, thrilled to report out on that. Mill Road was the first community engagement visit. That was, I think, very enlightening and showcased the innovation that's happening at the elementary school. Student council is working on a talent show. That would be a lot of fun to go watch. And I believe I hit all of them. Okay, thank you. I talked fast, but there's a lot to share. Thank
did
you.
3.5 minutes.
Well, I tried. I knew I only have 3 minutes, right? So. No.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. That'll start next fall. Haven't made all those decisions yet. Certainly stakeholders would be involved. Initially, it'd probably be internal, and then we'll go from there. But I'll keep you informed at board meetings. And Brenton and I are going to another professional development on Thursday from the Rockefeller Institute. So they had a lot on AI and what best practice is out in all fields, medical, law, school. So we're excited to gather that type of information to see what the very best practice is. But we will start that task force next year, and it will involve initially very pertinent stakeholder groups within our internal community, and then there'll be opportunity for community and parents to have input on that. Okay, but more to come on that.
Yeah, and at a very high level, it's like philosophically and educationally, like how we believe technology should be used in the classroom, and how it should enhance learning, not just be like a substitution for learning. So we'll look at different models and also the future of AI as we're embracing it and thinking about it. And we see that like some places are putting out policies. We have a policy, but putting out more procedures and really like talking about what we believe in and how that should be used effectively. And we called it a task force because we don't believe it's something that we're going to we're probably going to meet for like this year, then put things into place. And then maybe in the we're going to have to meet again because things are who knows what it'll be like in a couple of years. But I think what we're hearing from the community is there's a lot of concerns about computer use. We have a cell phone ban now. A lot of people are talking about computer use. So we really want to make sure that whatever we're using in our classrooms is sound instructionally. So we will start with the people that are closest to the students first, and really talk about how they're using it now, how is it effective for instruction, curriculum, grading, assessments, everything like that. And then, like Kitty said, push it out to the wider community to say, what are you noticing at home? What are your thoughts on it? So it's gonna be great work. Yeah.
Dr. Hayes. Great. So in facilities, we have a couple exciting updates as part of our capital project that was approved. The next phase, in accordance with the NYSERDA efficiency study, was to convert all of the lights in Mill Road Elementary School and the high school to LED. So we had that first walkthrough to talk about that. If you remember when I presented, we are going to have all the lights on occupancy sensors, so there will be no longer switches. And also included is the different types of color lights to minimize sensory input for some of our students. So that will be automatically part of every classroom, which is great. So that work is expected to be done in the spring of 2027. We also had our bid opening last week. Those award recommendations are on the board agenda for tonight. Right now, the schedule has us with a June 1st start date on the field renovation work. It looks like we are scheduled to do the majority of the work over the summer to finish in the fall, and then we should be able to use those some in the spring of 2027 with our substantial completion, which is great. In the transportation department, we did want to give an update after last board meeting when we talked about those EV buses that were out of service. We do have 3 buses back in the garage and that are back on the road, which is great. They're working reliably. And it helps because we have had up to 4, we average about 4 athletic trips a day in the spring. So it's been busy. We also had a loaner bus, which New York Bus Sales gave us without cost, just to make up for the difference on the other 2 buses that are still being serviced. So that was really generous of them, and that's helped out a lot, especially when we have Department of Transportation inspections. So school buses have to be inspected twice a year. So that takes them off the road for the time of the inspection. And as Dr. Warden mentioned, we have a couple things for you tonight. One of them is a petition that all of the school districts are looking at. And basically it's asking the state to look at the utility study to see the feasibility of every district complying with the mandate to do a full fleet conversion to EV buses. So they estimate that most districts could do up to 10. For us, it was 6 without any major infrastructure work. But the question is really, can the utility companies handle the load of full fleet conversion? So this petition is basically asking the state to do a full study to make sure that it's feasible to keep the mandate in place so that the utilities can be put in place. The other thing that we were communicated to this week was that starting in 2027, the New York State Department of Transportation is going to be prohibited from inspecting any newly purchased fuel buses. So if we buy a fuel bus, we won't be able to put it on the road because they won't be allowed to inspect it. We can apply for a waiver, but it's unclear exactly what the criteria for the waiver is. They've made some preliminary comments that if we've made the effort to comply with the mandate, we're more likely to get the waiver. But I think these are things the board should consider when we continue to have the conversation about the mandate and EV purchasing or fuel bus purchasing as we move into next school year. Because as it stands, we're still by 2035 are supposed to have a complete conversion of our entire fleet, and starting next spring, we aren't allowed to buy fuel buses. The sales companies have been prohibited from selling them to us. And if we did find a way around that, they won't be able to be inspected and put on the road.
Any positive news from Albany
Anything.
as it relates to supporting districts in this migration?
So-
Because the cost is,
Well,
for some districts, the cost is just,
well, even
I mean,
for us, I mean, as we've been very fortunate that the 6 buses we were able to purchase, we were able to use grant monies for that, which made a big difference. But moving forward, because we've exhausted that, Each bus runs about $500,000 a bus compared to a fuel bus at 180. So it's a huge price differential. And I think these are the things that districts are contending with and trying to talk to the state that the concept is great, but you need to put the supports in place in order for districts to make this happen. So I want to keep the conversation going because we are going to have to make some decisions moving into next year. And if we don't purchase anything, we run the risk of skipping a year of transportation aid, which we use as a revenue source for part of our budget. So there's a lot of implications there.
And I think when the public is going to hear that the governor put money aside for this, I believe the number was like 10 million, which is like,
That's nothing. That's not, we'll spend,
right.
yeah.
So it's one of those things that I think obviously we should be looking at different energy sources. I think that's the wonderful thing to do, but I think the feasibility is where that petition comes in to say, we don't even have the infrastructure set up in our state to handle every school district with a fleet of electric buses. So you've got to do that first before you create a mandate. So I don't know, it's backwards, but I think.
Well, kudos to our admin for getting the 6 buses at like $10,000 or whatever they cost us.
It was $13,000 for each of the first 2 that was purchased. And then the 4 we haven't paid for yet, but the estimated cost to the district is 60,000 a bus. And that's a function of the state changing the reimbursement rate on aid.
So,
So they lowered the rate, so we got less money back.
okay. Well, still that's that's 100,000 less than a gas bus and 300,000 less than what a full electric bus would cost. So, I've heard some, snippety little comments here and there about an electric bus out of service or this or that. It's new technology, but, for getting 6 electric buses, giving us a good jump start on this mandate. And, I think it's smart and it's new technology. There may be some issues and, they have to get a little extra service up front or whatever, get sent back to get something fixed. But, it's a very smart move to have gotten these 6 buses at such a low cost. So.
You mentioned the restrictions on the fuel bus. Does that include propane as well?
Yes,
Anything.
anything that is not zero emissions.
And so hybrid as well.
Right.
Okay.
So what about
Has to be fully
electric.
Fully electric. Yes.
so the ones that we are looking to purchase, those 6, are they?
No, those are
those are
fine.
vehicles?
Those are vehicles. Those are our smaller SUVs that it's not the same thing. And we're still under the purchasing window until
Okay.
2027. It's really next year that we're going to have to make that decision about how we move forward with this. And we're not alone in that. Every district
Right.
is, and they've also put a mandate in place that is, even when we put something before the voters, they have to vote for it.
Right, that's
Right.
the biggest problem. So if the voters vote no and there's still a mandate,
Right.
it's just.
Well, we have,
They issued it, I believe it was 3 years ago. Yeah. Yeah,
nothing.
in the same with infrastructure that we mentioned before with the bus garage, they aren't aiding all the infrastructure, which is a little frustrating because we have to upgrade infrastructure to support the mandate, but yet they don't want to aid it fully. So, and again, every district's having this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also in the determination what's going on in the state right now, whether or not they're going to aid that storage. So hopefully it'll be yes. This came up at the Lower Hudson Council of School Superintendents, so they really started this charge. So I think that it's good for the board to reach out to their board association. There has to be more advocacy around this because I feel like the superintendent group is like screaming from the mountains, like we need to do something. And I'm not sure that maybe people are really aware of what's being asked of us. A lot of schools are just ignoring it.
Well,
Right.
it's, communities aren't going to vote for those kind of capital spends to buy those buses, and the kids are still going to need to get bused. So what's
Yeah.
Albany going to do?
I have no idea. But
Million
they
dollar
often do
question.
these types of things. So I think for us, it's just putting that petition out to the board, and then later on in the meeting, there's a signature or an actual letter that comes from the school district.
But in happy news, in our food service department, we have increased our meal sales by 10%. Sam Pride has done an amazing job of just trying different foods and recipes, and the kids are really buying into it. He's also done an incredible job partnering with our local farms and working on that 30% initiative. So as Janet mentioned, we have the Budget Expo on May 7th. We have 12 confirmed farms coming. We also have other farms that are sending samples. So yes, there will be food, which is great. He also has the surprise guest chef still, which we're excited about. He had Milestone Mills, which is one of our vendors, come and work with our flex students, and they made scones and bread. And so he's done a lot with that. Our partnership with the Culinary Institute of America continues to strengthen. We have some student volunteers coming twice next month. They're in a new class called Good Food Students. So they have to do school projects where they'll come and he'll mentor them, and then they'll come and talk about food with our students during their lunch period. So that's really exciting as well. He and I did, if you remember, we applied for that $5 million grant. That award notification should come this month. So we have our fingers crossed that we'll get that, because we're excited about the possibility of that. And then on May 9th, Rotary is hosting Apple Blossom Day, which is a big village festival. So we are giving them the use of one of our bus to help with parking is a little bit of a challenge on that day. So they're renting a bus from us to bring community members from the middle school parking lot into the village that aren't.
One of our electric buses.
No.
All right, so that brings us on to the Board of Education review. We'll start with committees, policy.
Yeah, there's nothing really too major to highlight with these. They're pretty straightforward. They're all coming through BOCES, and most of them are first read. I think there's two that are second read. So yeah, they're all coming through BOCES. So, and also for the next meeting, we don't have any more committees meetings, but we will potentially have a few more policies coming in our next BOE meeting, just as a heads up. But we won't have a committees.
Okay.
Policy committee.
You keep us
necessarily.
up to date on that. All right, and then community engagement. So I know that Dr. Warden talked about the tour that we just had at Red Hook High School. It was excellent. We had a lot of community engagement, very thoughtful conversation, not only with our partners that were there, but also with the students and with our staff. It's really fun to see all of them in action. And then our next tour is May 14th. That will be at Linden Avenue Middle School. So if any of you can make that, that would be terrific. We will have Amanda Allison will speak at that one. She's our Pupil Services Director. And did you talk about the survey? Yeah, the survey that we sent up. Yeah, we kind of ran over. We were talking so much, and so we sent out a survey. And then really quickly, I also attended the wellness, health and wellness committee meeting today, and so we talked about policies and continued to update that, and also talked about the budget expo. Sam Pride said, "Come hungry," so so we know that'll be good. And he's going to bring that broccoli powder. So it'll be fun. But he has a new one. It's mushroom powder. A lot of protein in it, he said. So so that's all. And so I guess on to facilities.
Super quick question before we go on. I had a question on one of the policies. We had talked about it last time, was that there was a personnel name in the policy itself. It's still in there. It is. Yep. Yeah, very general. Yeah, just, I mean, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if, that person is not here and available to do that. What's that? Yeah.
Really quick on facilities. Erin gave a better update, but this is a beautiful timeline in Gantt report that I
do that?
be emailed to the board that just shows literally every step of the reconstruction of all the capital project elements that we're facing over the, starting June 1st. So we're excited about that.
For how long?
Well, Russ, that's a great question. I mean,
I
if
only
we
ask for
launch-
questions.
If we launch June 1st, again, the hope is that the football field and that what was or is the soccer/lacrosse field will be potentially usable in the spring of, no, excuse me, not the football field, sorry, soccer field, the spring of 2027. The football field will likely not be used until the fall of 2027, because even though we're going to be looking at these gorgeous fields, they need to live, breathe, water, and settle before we can start kind of tearing them up. But very, very,
With the cleats.
very thoughtful planning. They've already blocked off all the safety routes and they've already factored in those couple of weeks where there'll still be students. But they're ready to go. The other good news is they've got all their vendors bid. It's all in the, for board approval tonight. We are coming in already, guys, 2.6 million under budget.
Yay.
So, yeah, I mean, I think up against Lou's original estimates and where all the local, vendors came in. He was very happy to say that we have a broad, diverse group of different vendors we're working with. We prefer to keep it local. So I think as far as Troy and maybe Rochester and, some in Hyde Park and sort of local. So we are excited to get this going. And then obviously there's that interior work. We don't want to minimize the bathrooms in the high school, the fire protection for the welding that, will hopefully pass in this budget. So just laying the groundwork. But actually it's always great, I think, for the community to start to see the work. Once, because it's such a long, tedious process with state ed. Once it's approved, actually seeing it go. So we're excited. But, minimally disruptive, hopefully to the students. It's really just like 4 weeks in June. So we'll have to be thoughtful about graduation. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay. That just, it'll all work out. Okay.
Oh, and then we talked about possible tours for the bus garage, which Dr. Hayes had mentioned.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking into putting some dates out there and getting people to see the current state of the bus garage.
Yeah,
For the
that'd be
community.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, one during the day and then one.
That'd be great.
Yeah, keep
And
us
at budget,
posted.
at the budget expo, we're gonna have a bus, an electric bus that will take people to the garage if they want a tour right then and there. And I will plug that the budget expo is the most exciting event that this school district puts on. So please come. Young
Come
families,
hungry.
community members, everybody. It is a huge event. If you want to see every single aspect of the school from elementary school through to high school, this is your moment. So I really encourage everyone to come.
Awesome. Any other comments? Anything you want to discuss? I know that Dr. Hayes talked about the petition of the Lower Hudson Education Coalition, as did Dr. Warden. Anything you want to add about that? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dates, right, Heather? Set the dates next week. Okay, we're all set for that. And what about the retreat date?
So, so the date for next week is Tuesday morning, the 28th, and that will be, Russ, Kate, Patrick, and myself. So we have a quorum.
For the BOCES vote?
Yes,
Yeah,
for the BOCES
gotcha.
budget vote. It'll be, 8 a.m. And then, so the retreat date, we looked at,
We get a gold ribbon. for that.
so we looked at, we're going to go out here now, August. We looked at August 6th. I know that the 6th does not work already for at least one person. So anything like the week of the 10th or the 17th, do any of those? I don't know.
Don't look at me either.
I know the last
All the candidates in the audience should be paying attention to
I know,
this.
right?
How do you
Anyone?
feel about putting out like a poll,
I can do that.
like an email poll with some dates and then
Heather, can you add that to your long list?
We'll be guest speakers.
All right, yeah, and I know, and quite a few people will be moving in, students to college, so
yeah, just maybe put, quite a few dates on there and we can see how they fall.
just kind of whittle it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Any No, that's it. All right, so that brings us to policy review and approval. So let's do 1 through 6. Those are first reads. It's policy 7211, provision of interpreter services to parents who are hearing impaired. Policy 7521, students with life-threatening health conditions. 7530, child abuse and maltreatment. 7550, dignity for all students. 7616, peripheral intervention strategies, and policy 7640, student individualized education programs, which is the IEP, development and provision. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that brings us to policy review 7 and 8, which are second reads, policy 5741, drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers, and policy 7210, which is student evaluation, promotion, and placement as presented.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, and that brings us on down to our business consent agenda, items 1 through 19. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, and that brings us to personnel, items 1 through 8. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye.
Can I just, before I know you went really, really fast that time. I know it's getting later. So I just wanted to thank the Education Foundation for the grants that they, hold on one second, just gotta pull this up. They supported the GCA field trip, the Model UN trip, the 8th grade field trip, the Earth Day art event, and hygiene boxes. So we appreciate their support.
Kelly, I think.
All right, now, Dr. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Just
I
sorry
would-
to interrupt, but I think you said 1 through 8 on personnel. Is there?
Did I?
I see 1 through 7. I don't know if we have to amend.
That's because I don't have my reading glasses on. But good catch. Do we need to amend that 1 through 7? We're good. All right. So I guess I covered the spread.
You cover the spread. Okay, I would like to take a moment to welcome a new teacher to our system. It's Thomas Tarsheen. He will be our new Spanish teacher up at the high school. Yay. He's had a full sense of what we offer here through sitting through the board meeting. But we really appreciate that. He comes to us from Roundel. He has 8 years of experience. He comes to us from New Paltz. He also has studied abroad, both in Mexico and in Spain. I believe he also is a musician. Yes, and but he comes to us with a lot of experience at a secondary level, and we're very excited to welcome him to our world language department. He has already spent a day at the school and met our other professionals in the world language, and so we're very pleased to welcome you aboard. And okay, so yes,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for bearing
Yes.
with us.
I have one more thing before we go on to. I would like to, we're accepting a retirement tonight from Margaret Kuhn, who's worked with the district 33 years as a teacher aide in every classroom possible. If you ever come across her in the hallway, she's always with a student. She's always so sweet and kind-hearted. She's always going the extra mile every single day. So I know that the building's going to miss her. I'm just going to miss her smiling face. She's never not smiling. She's never not happy. After 33 years, that's actually absolutely wonderful. She has worked with every grade level and she continues to support every student. So her care, love, and support is deeply going to be missed. We want to thank her for her service. So I know she's not here, but I hope she enjoys her retirement.
Can you pass the word along, Erin? All right, so that brings us to our second recognition of visitors. If you would like to speak again, we ask that you come to the podium, state your name, and that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone? All right. All right, that brings us to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
You guys have mentioned my name's Justin Ridgely. You mentioned the community engagement group a couple times. I am a part of that. I just want to thank you all for doing that. I've learned a ton about the district and everything that goes on. It's been extremely informative, to the point where a lot of this is sounding very familiar, including even the budget slides that were gone over. So I just wanted to thank you all for doing that. It's been very helpful to me and very helpful to the community.
Thank you.
Just like to ask you, having, voted in favor of the stadium lights as part of your consent agenda, that we follow up some of the comments that were made here today and build in something very structural in terms of coming to agreement and conversation, members of the community, and putting together a set of protocols that can make everybody support the project, and make everybody happy about what we're seeing out there, and face some of the concerns that a lot of people in the community have in terms of just a unfettered process where there are no limitations. Again, you could look at Bronxville, you could look at Scarsdale, you could look at Pleasantville. These are all school districts that have stadium lighting close to their residential neighborhoods. The same sort of process, and they've all come to a set of protocols and understandings that brought people together. So again, if we put some content, some process in that, some structure, I know people I know would be greatly appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else? All right, that brings us to adjournment.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night. Thank you for bearing with us tonight, guys.
That was so sexy. Actually, you want my copy? 'Cause it's really big. Yeah. I will just, great job. Great work.